Can you hear the, what is that? Oh.
It shows that we're live, so let's see how this is going.
Woohoo!
We got live from the original Route 66.
The one and only original Route 66.
With Scott Piotrowski.
The original Scott Piotrowski.
The original Scott Piotrowski. Let's see if we got any audio on how that's going.
Yeah, I heard something. I have to say, I have the best view right now. Just that little turquoise-ish facade and then the blue sky with the white fluffy clouds.
Morning, Sam. Clemens, how are you doing this morning? Well, Mr. Scott Piotrowski is, yesterday we need to offer congratulations to Mr. Piotrowski and condolences.
Condolences, yes.
For anybody who takes on those kind of projects, condolences are definitely in order. We're down at Grand Central Market since 1917, it says right there on the banner. Just enjoyed a great breakfast sandwich down here. I'll be sharing some photos of all the neon.
Lots of neon. They have a whole wall of neon in there now. It's beautiful.
It is
absolutely beautiful.
Isn't that neat?
I'm going to just jump right into my spiel, Jim. I bring people down here, and I even routinely get amazed at what I see. It's just such a beautiful part of 66 that everybody needs to come and experience, just because it's the same as it is on the rest of the road, but it's different.
Well, yeah, the whole road is, it's about the people, and this is different.
It's different.
It's not easy to access, but there's a lot of parts of Route 66 that are not easy to access. And each one's got their own treats and rewards and things. And here, basically, for me, the secret is don't drive. Find a place to park, leave the damn car, lace up the walking shoes, and explore.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's definitely a different way to look at the road. But it's not really that much different, because where you can get out and explore any place you find in New Mexico or whatever, you can do the same thing here. Yeah. You're just doing it a little bit different. You don't have as many people in New Mexico and in San Fidel maybe as you do here, but
I don't think you have as many people in New Mexico, period,
as you do here. Yes, that's true also. Yes. Well, that's an advantage and a curse.
It is. No, I joke about this a lot, that I'm a small town person, and I had trouble with Kingman when we got our third stoplight, and so this is always a challenge for me.
1, 2, I can see 5 just right here.
Well, I lost count yesterday on how many I saw. Yesterday I drove from San Bernardino on Foothill, Huntington, all the way into Pasadena down 66.
12 hours later.
And I don't know how many stoplights, but you've gone to the market. Mr. Dries Bessels, how are you, sir?
Dries, good evening, sir.
We have Sam Murray. He's in Louisiana on tour. Our Gilligan's Route 66 tours from New Zealand. His self-drive tours. Sam's he's hit something with that self-drive tour idea.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that sometime. That's a pretty neat deal.
I think that's kind of the thing that we need to do with LA, is find that mass transit self-guided tour and the walking tours and hitting ways to do that on your own a little bit better and a little bit easier. So that's one of the things I'm working on. So
yesterday you received a nomination.
Yes.
Accepted.
Yes.
California Historic Route 66 Association President. That's the way that goes?
That's the way that goes, yeah.
Now you see why I wanted
condolences.
Condolences.
Yeah. No, it'll be good. It'll be good. We've been making a lot of headway in the last few years, and I'm looking forward to continuing the work that's been done by my predecessors.
Good morning, Marion. Dries, we're hoping for a good report there, guy.
Yeah, very much so.
So the California Association's been really busy.
We have been, especially like I mentioned, the predecessors, Sharon and Glenn. Sharon has just been a whirlwind of activity out in the desert, especially. She's gotten so many people interested and involved, and working with the Daggett people and corridor management program and Bureau of Land Management. It's been pretty amazing what's been happening out that way.
Do you think they're ever going to get Route 66 open again in the desert?
That's a trick question.
Well, I find it hard. I'm not overly optimistic, shall we say, because financially, I just can't see it's going to be so tough to justify all the work that's needed out there. It's not just the bridges that are out, it's the ones that need replacement.
And that's where I think it's a trick question, because I think it'll happen, but I don't think you're going to be seeing the wooden bridges like we've had in the past.
No.
You're going to have to see something change and something new. And frankly, it sucks, but at the same time, if it's drivable again, that's all that matters, to some extent.
Yeah, I agree. The main thing is to get it open. But you know, the infrastructure is one of the biggest challenges I think we face on Route 66, because all of the bridges need replacement or upgrading. And
well, I mean, we know Jim Ross is all about the bridges all the time, and I appreciate that. But there's a lot of other things that we need to be focused on with those bridges. Losing the desert bridges in a stretch of the road is a big hit, but there's also a lot of them left. I think what we need to be focusing on are bridges like the Broadway Bridge, not too far from where we are right now, because you're looking at a situation where you have a bridge that's over 100 years old and is heavily used on a daily basis. And it's going to become structurally insufficient relatively soon.
Well, you have examples of how that can be done with the Colorado Bridge up in Pasadena. It can be done.
It can be done, yes. I know the Broadway Bridge has also been seismically retrofit, as was the Colorado Bridge. The difference that I see is that you don't have the weight limit now on Broadway that you do on Colorado. So you have a potential difficulty. Plus Broadway coming into downtown, which really that's what that is. That's the connection to Lincoln Heights and points northeast. And it's heavily traveled by more than just commuters. So you have buses, you have trucks, you have a lot of heavy vehicles up and down that bridge on a daily basis, and you can't cut that off by limiting the weight on it.
You know, I agree that it's a lot. All of our bridges are important, but like your old timber bridges, they're almost sterile. They're unique historical time capsules, but it's our architectural bridges and our historically significant bridges. Another would be the Mojave River Bridge out in Victorville.
Yes, absolutely.
Those are great bridges that they contain so much of the character of Route 66.
Yeah. Well, and I think that taken as a group, those wooden bridges in the desert are significant as the conglomeration of them all. Individually, they're not significant, but as a series, they're significant, and that's where I see the big problem for those. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that the Mojave River Bridge outside of Victorville is it's considered on the chopping block right now as well. So
when last I talked to Jim Ross about it, was like 98% of the bridges on Route 66 are in need.
And we have more bridges in California than any other state on the road. So in terms of Route 66, so it's a significant issue for us.
Ken, we hope your wife is recovering and doing well. Bonnie, I hope you and Ken are doing a little better after last night. I hope it went well for you, chilling on Beale and Kingman. Good morning, Ruth Anna. How are you today? It's a real challenge. You know, the Route 66, it's in a real state of transition. I mean, that's obvious. It's a state of transition with the people, the thought process. It's more. I think Route 66 today is more popular than any time in its history. But
that popularity is also a potential problem.
But the other thing is, what Route 66 is popular? Is it the historic Route 66, the romanticized image of Route 66, or and But Route 66 has always been an evolution. Always been.
And I think that's the key point. I mean, we're never going to be able to maintain the personalities of the road. That they have to come and go. That's just the nature of the beast. you're not going to be able to preserve the concrete. You're not going to be able to preserve all the buildings.
No.
What you have to preserve is the character of the road.
Yeah, the essence.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's the most important issue for all of us, is how do we take a place like Pops in Arcadia and incorporate a new location like that as a destination on the road. They've done an outstanding job with that. How do we keep creating new places that are new destinations?
Well,
like this one, for example.
Yeah, there's challenges with all of this, and I remember when Larry Klontz in Shamrock was putting in the electric vehicle charging stations that you drop in. He caught just all kinds of flack for defacing historic property. The road has always been about evolution, and you mentioned the personalities, the characters. You've got to be at least my age or older to have any real association with the road when it was the road.
Well, and that's one of the things that I think is interesting from my perspective. I mean, obviously I come at it a little bit different being an Angelino, but I'm also the first generation of Route 66 enthusiasts who didn't have their license when the road was decertified. So I'm that first round of people who are promoting something that we never got to experience.
Hanukkah, good morning. The challenges are so multifaceted. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons I do this is we've got to create awareness, build that sense of community and community purpose along the Route 66 corridor. We can always find things that we disagree with. And I've teased you a lot about being absolutely anal about Los Angeles. But the truth of the matter is, if we had one truly anal person in every community along Route 66, and then we put these people together as links in a chain, we would really have something.
Well, I think that's going to be our future. I mean, we have the ability to communicate without leaving home now. Obviously, I mean, look at what's happening with what we're doing right here. So we have that ability to communicate internationally without leaving our front steps.
No.
And having somebody at each step of the way to hand the traveler to is, I think, the way to go. I mean, if we could literally, if Jerry and Chandler could hand each traveler to Jim in Arcadia and on down the road all the way to me in LA and Ian in Santa Monica, and literally hand everybody down the whole path, it would be just an amazing experience for everybody.
Well, what the key to Route 66 is that personalized experience.
Yeah.
We have this technology like we're using today, but Facebook and all these things is relatively cold and impersonal.
Yep.
And people are hungry for that personal experience. So personalizing Route 66, I think that is why it's so popular, and that's what is fueling the entire movement, is because it is a personal experience.
Well, and I think that even when you look back at it historically speaking, what made the road, I mean, the neon's great, the pavement itself is not appealing to most people. The neon's great, the architecture is wonderful and amazing, but it's your own personal experience that brings everybody back to the road and that everybody talks about. When I talk about my trip on the road, me falling in love with the road is because of an individual who got me interested. It's not because I liked the pavement. It's not because I liked the specific building. It's because one person kept hounding me to get involved and get interested. And in a good way, obviously.
I've attended both of the European festivals, and it's really almost surreal. In Germany, when Wolfgang hosted the festival, and this year in Zlin, it is such an American event. They're playing bluegrass music and ZZ Top tribute bands and celebrations of Harley Davidson. And here's a car show with 57 Chrysler Imperials. And then you realize you can't read any of the signs, and you don't understand anybody. It's really quite an amazing experience what this thing has become. And it's that personalized experience.
You're absolutely right. I mean, meeting people, and I wish I could do it more frequently, but meeting people coming down the road and from all over the world, and even just from in the U.S., it's quite fascinating being at the end of the road and hearing everybody's stories. So.
or the beginning of the road, depending. We're only what?
I'll be honest, most people go east to west.
They do. About 80%, I understand. Yeah. We're what, 4 blocks from the original western terminus of the road.
That's correct, yes. Right in the heart of downtown LA. I don't know what our width is. You can't see the Bradbury, can you?
No, but I'll turn this in a minute.
Yeah, we have so many landmarks. We're in the middle of a National Historic Landmark District, the Broadway Historic Theater District. There were originally 12 or 14 theaters in this area. Of those, about half of them are adaptively reused now. Some of them still operate with occasional programming. Actually, you have a good timing coming out because we're only a few months away from Night on Broadway.
I need to get over for that sometime.
Oh, yes, you do. Night on Broadway is absolutely amazing. Councilmember Jose Huizar's office has done a fantastic job reinvigorating this stretch of road, and Night on Broadway is probably their big thing. They closed down the street here for about 8 blocks, I think it is, and they have street vendors and arts theater stuff happening in all of the theaters. They activate 7, 8, or 9 theaters with free programming for the night. There's even a Ferris wheel out on Broadway now for Night on Broadway. It's just pretty awesome.
Definitely need to get over and see this sometime. I really recommend, all of Route 66 needs to be experienced. And I realize, I find it very fascinating that until quite recently, it's the urban sections of Route 66 that were the least explored.
Yes.
And it was funny, the most obscure places like the Painted Desert Trading Post in the desert, people knew about.
Yep.
They were exploring incredibly remote sections, but the urban had been overlooked. But I think that is changing. There's a growing awareness.
Absolutely. And if I may, I mean, when I got started in Route 66, 20-some years ago now, nobody knew anything about LA's Route 66. I mean, literally, I did that research because I literally wrote, yes. But nobody really knew it, nobody really understood it. And now I have people coming down Broadway regularly. I have people in Santa Monica, I have people in East Hollywood and Lincoln Heights, and people know about Broadway Bridge now. And it's amazing how much it's changed from that perspective, but it's also amazing how much more work there is to do.
Always, and we pass that on to the next generation over and over again.
Absolutely.
You'd be pleased. My book, I did a little quick pocket guide, a little simple little book last year, 100 Things to Do in Route 66 Before You Die, and I included the theater district.
Yep.
Downtown LA, it's something that needed to be experienced and seen. I got in a lot of trouble with that book. Of course, you're going to get in trouble with whatever you do.
Well, I could give you 100 things to see and do before you die on Route 66 in LA County.
Well,
so
that's exactly. First of all, I got in trouble because I didn't include and fill in the blanks.
Yes.
Well, I was under real tight editorial constraints, and number 2, it was 100 things to do. So I selected 100 of my favorite restaurants in places like Hyder Baba up in Pasadena.
Yep.
Second of all,
I mean, Millie's. You probably haven't even eaten at Millie's yet, have you?
And I've gotten the other things I got in trouble with, like I included Into the Trail sign in Santa Monica Pier, and I heard from, well, you didn't include Dan Rice's shop, you didn't include Manny's shop at the end of the pier, the Bob Waldmart, and then I heard, that's not even on Route 66, and you included it in a book on Route 66. And all I could say is, I hope everybody will get over it soon and just enjoy themselves.
My 2 favorite words, I think, cultural corridor, because then I can just make it whatever I want it to be. I can make my trip what I want to enjoy on my trip.
It's like you can get so narrow-minded. You can look down a beer bottle with both eyes.
Well, I mean, here's the important thing to me, and I'm adamant about saying that the Santa Monica Pier was not part of Route 66 officially. But as I also follow up with, if you've traveled 2,400 miles from Chicago and you're 8 blocks from the ocean, are you really going to stop?
Oh yeah, it's like
I've got to the end, I'm going to turn around and go back now. No!
It's like going to Paris on a tour.
And not seeing the Eiffel Tower.
Because it's not one of the classic buildings.
Exactly.
God bless. We talk about how obsessed some people can get with Route 66.
Yes.
I ran into some asphalt collectors a while back.
Hey now, watch what you say about me.
And I'll tell you, I thought to myself, Now, you have anal, the good kind, and then you have the kind where you might want to seek medical attention. These guys were pulling out chunks of asphalt from their Tupperware containers, and not only were they getting excited about it, but they knew where these asphalt pieces had come from and what year they were used. And I'm thinking, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go with this?
Well, you know what, honestly, having been down that rabbit hole, I can tell you, you go as far down it as you want as long as you know when to come back up. How's that?
Yeah, well, that's it. The key thing about Route 66 is enjoy yourself. Don't get wrapped up in the minutia, the details, and have fun with it. Get lost once in a while. Some of the best things I've discovered on Route 66 is because I got lost. And you mentioned the changing face of Route 66. Controversial as it may be, Louis Keene in Uranus, Missouri. I gotta tell you, P.T. Barnum of Route 66, he has put himself, of course, and then as a backdrop, Route 66 on the map. And he took over the newspaper in Waynesville and renamed it the Uranus Examiner.
I want him to come out here and spend some time out here and promote out here too, because I have a funny feeling he would do great.
Have you seen the new sign he's putting up?
I have not.
I'll get some pictures up of it. When I go back to Missouri next week, we're going to try to get some night pictures. But it's going to be the largest neon sign on Route 66. It's like, I think it's like 20 feet by 40 feet. And then it's got 3 other pieces.
We need to check this before we confirm that.
It is incredible. It's got a rocket ship, Uranus, and then a neon Tyrannosaurus eating a flying saucer, and all these different pieces. And now he's got a line of products like apple butter and different things, and it's from Uranus to your table.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, how could you not enjoy that, right?
Total low budget, juvenile humor at its finest.
Well, yeah. There's not much else you can say.
You know, and I don't really, obviously, you know, with tour groups, this can be a problem. And I know you address that with tour buses. You do different things.
Yes.
And I do recommend people a great way to discover this section of Route 66, especially for individuals and couples, is one of your tours.
Well,
tours or otherwise.
Yeah, and yes, absolutely. But you know what, honestly, as long as you have a guidebook to where you're going, like, you know, Jerry's Easy 66, as long as you know where you're going, just take your time and get out of your car and get on foot. And, you know, the mass transit idea down here really makes things so much easier. It's amazing the difference that it makes. I had a family out not too long ago that all we did is we spent about 6 hours on the light rail, and we explored downtown all the way to Pasadena. Had a blast, you know, we had a blast, and so much to see that you would never, unless you get out of your car, you're not going to find, you know. Grand Central Market, where we're at right now, is absolutely amazing, and you know, you're not going to see that from your car. Clifton's Cafeteria, it's one of those places you just got to go into. And, you're not, and they're 4 blocks apart, so why would you drive 4 blocks and try to find parking, especially in a place like LA? Find parking again. You know, there's so many good options.
Clemens and Drees are exactly right. The pier is the, it's not on Route 66, but how can you take a trip and not end it there? I mean, that's the highlight of the trip. Scott, you do a lot of the tours, walking tours and otherwise. If people want to tour downtown and explore LA, the metro area, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, there's the 2 best ways to get me are either email, which is rt66prods, like Route 66 Productions, at yahoo.com, or the other way is to just go to the Facebook page, Route 66 Los Angeles on Facebook, and I moderate that and try to get just weird off-the-wall stuff posted on there as often as I find it. And just contact me through there, ask questions through there. Tag me on any number of Route 66 pages on Facebook. And I try to do my best to keep up and respond.
Where was the cattle stampede scene in Go West?
I have absolutely no idea.
Because I've looked at a lot of the buildings, I've read some different things, and I was told it was basically
Could have been. I'll have to look. Remind me later and I'll look it up.
He's done 1925, Buster Keaton.
Yeah, he did a lot in this area, and then, if I remember correctly, he had a studio, I think it was in what is now East Hollywood area. Echo Park, maybe. I'd have to look.
Most of that movie was filmed in north of Kingman. He stayed at the Hotel Deal when he did that particular movie. But I really appreciate you taking some time to come down and have breakfast with us and to talk with us this morning about.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to let me on here with you.
Oh, that's the whole idea.
I get the better privilege out of this than you.
No, I enjoy this immensely. This is why I do this, is to create an awareness and help build this sense of community and community purpose on Route 66 internationally. But the whole idea here is to create an awareness, good and bad, what's going on, what needs help, what you can do to help. And I like to tease people with what they're missing, like a visit to the Egg Slut. Who can avoid the place going to the Egg Slut?
Well, I've managed to, only because the line is always so long, but that's beside the point. Yeah, there's a great place in Grand Central Market, everybody. It's called Egg Slut, and the line is, at 8 o'clock this morning when they opened, the line was about, what, 40 people deep, I think? It was amazing.
We'll get some photos. I've got a lot of photos we'll put up later today of Grand Central Market and some of the stuff downtown here. But guys, thank you for joining us. Next Friday we'll be doing something from Kingman. I'm watching a pigeon right now work on his carcinogenic intake, eating a
leftover hot dog of some sort.
Yeah, some sort of a cremated hot dog. We'll be finding this pigeon dead in the alley later. Anyway.
Only in LA.
Yes, sir, Bob. Guys, we'll be doing this next week in Kingman. I'm not sure exactly what I'll be doing next week. And then I'm way behind. I'm trying to get everything together. We'll be doing, I'm taking the road on the 16th. I'll be in Albuquerque, Elk City. I'll be speaking in Cuba at Cuba Fest with Joe Sonderman. He's got a new book out. We'll be both making presentations there in Cuba. And then Miles of Possibilities Conference in Carlinville, Illinois.
And I gotta throw one plug also for Joe again. He'll have another one coming out soon too, and I'm looking forward to seeing the final on that.
Oh, Route 66, California.
Yep, yeah.
I was gathering some photos for him yesterday. That's one reason I was driving the corridor yesterday. You know, I want to bring that up too, but it's really neat how many of the old motels and garages and they're still there, and they stand in such stark contrast to all the generic miles and miles of strip malls and Domino pizza parlors, and then all of a sudden here's this obviously a little bit war at the heel rundown 1930s auto core stuck in the middle with a beautiful little sign. And I know we're going to be losing a lot of those because of the value of the property, but man, there's some neat stuff. And if you do that, do it early on Saturday or Sunday. And it's not that bad. You just
Sunday morning coming in is the best time.
Just be patient and, you know, count. Instead of doing license plate bingo, do stoplight bingo. See how many red lights you can hit. I think I did 98 yesterday, and that was only in the first 5 miles. But that's another story of another day.
It's going to take time. That's the thing you just got to remember.
Yeah.
From the mileage is not great, but you know it's packed. But at the same time, that same density of cars, you have the density of historic structures.
I'll get this up later today. I'll have your website contact information for LA tours. Guys, thank you for joining us today, and Scott, thanks for taking time to do this, and we'll do this again soon.
I hope so. Thank you, everybody. One last face.